Hello, I'm Joe from WhatCulture.com and welcome to the official WhatCulture Hell in a Cell preview podcast, and I'm lucky enough to be joined today by the royalty, the one and only.
Royalty?
The royalty.
I am the only one.
The only one. The true king, King Ross.
Hello.
Now, we have been reliably informed that a certain Mr. Local Hero, Joe Hendry, will arrive for this podcast whenever he feels like it. Must be nice, mustn't it?
No.
So anyway, the Hell in a Cell preview has focus on this pay-per-view, which by all accounts looks brilliant. Has focus been lost with Survivor Series being 3 weeks away?
Absolutely. You've got the go-home show for Raw, where obviously because it's a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, and the main hook heading into the show was all about Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, which is happening on a dual pay-per-view, not just a Raw one, a dual pay-per-view, which is a month away, which was a little bit strange.
I find it weird that the main headline for Raw is a list.
Well, this is the thing. They made the list of Jericho more prestigious than the Universal Championship. Kevin Owens has gradually become a sideshow to Chris Jericho in this whole storyline. They've devalued that title like no other. It's incredible.
I completely agree. Speaking of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, do we expect anything from them on Sunday, or are they just going to completely leave that for Survivor Series?
I think there'll be some hype. I think that's about as far as it'll go, though. With the match is announced, it's set, it's ready. Yeah. I think that's it now. I think might get an advert or two with some 2K footage spliced into it. They like doing that, don't they?
Yeah, no surprise really with Brock Lesnar being on the cover. Let's get straight into the match card. Now, this does not in any way, shape or form dictate the order. It's just whatever way I've constructed, really.
Yeah, we don't know it yet, do we?
We don't. Especially with the triple main event headline. We are going to start with the match that I think should start the card, and that is for the Cruiserweight Championship. The champion TJ Perkins defending against Brian Kendrick. They are building the Kendrick storyline that he is desperate that this is his last chance. On Monday, he begged TJ Perkins to let him have the victory. How do you think that'll go down?
I think Perkins will win. Yes. I just think Perkins will win and they'll continue with his last chance storyline, which I find a bit strange anyway. Because Kendrick's 37. He's younger than AJ Styles.
Yeah, I know.
He's younger than Jericho.
That's a very weird one.
Aye.
Do you think...
But it's good, though, because it's the only rivalry in that Cruiserweight division that has any sort of storyline to it. We've just been given Cruiserweights for Cruiserweight's sake so far, which is a bit aimless, it's just like, oh, they're there. They're like they're not part of Raw, they're completely separate, which I think they should be made part of Raw. Ditch the purple ropes. Yeah, just make them part of the show.
Just have it all as one.
As if they belong on Raw instead of... Yeah.
You're going for TJ Perkins. Do you think a title change would shake up the Cruiserweight division, make it a little bit more exciting? Because it seems to have become a bit stagnant recently, hasn't it?
You'd just be looking for Perkins for his rematch, and then you're looking at the other contenders that there are out there at the minute, and there's just nobody who jumps out. Rich Swann had his match on Monday. Good match, but... nothing storyline wise, was there? It was just...
We still haven't got our boy Noam Dar either.
No? Where the hell is he? That's the question.
He was announced and still hasn't
He was one of the first 6 announced.
He was.
And now he's not been there still.
Was Jack Gallagher amongst that as well?
I don't think he was, but Noam certainly was. No.
Anyway, moving on to the first of 2 tag team matches. Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus the Good Brothers, the Club. How badly do both of these teams need a victory?
Good Brothers need it a hell of a lot more in my eyes. Enzo and Cass, obviously they've got the charisma that not many other teams have on the roster, which means they can get away with losing matches, but people will still want to see them. But Gallows and Anderson they've had the rug completely pulled from underneath them, haven't they, since the debut, basically, since the club split up.
It's what the hope was that wasn't going to happen. These guys coming from New Japan, and they get pushed up the hill because they're 4 massive stars, the Club, Styles and Nakamura. And Nakamura and Styles have had their fun. It just doesn't seem to have happened with the Club. Yeah,
they've pitched them as awful comedians with the doctor shtick, and now they've just nothing really. They're saying play time's over now, which is good. It might start to rebuild them. A win obviously will help that. But
do you think, because Amore and Anderson had a match on Monday night and Amore didn't win clean, do you think that sort of hints that Anderson and Gallows are going to win on Sunday?
I don't know if you can read anything into that. I think that's the way it's going to go. I think we're going to get an Anderson and Gallows win, and hopefully set them off on a bit of a tear.
I hope so. It will be really nice to see. Announced earlier on today, Bayley versus Dana Brooke. Is Bayley being underutilised? at the moment?
No, I think they're doing a perfect job with her, because throwing her straight into the championship mix is too much too soon. You need that one that's going to build and build and build and then be that WrestleMania moment next year.
Do you think the WrestleMania moment is the 4 Horsewomen match?
I don't know. Bayley will definitely be involved somehow, and I think she'll get up with a win. Mm-hmm. The feel-good WrestleMania moment.
How much further? Sorry.
But I just the whole Dana Brooke Bayley thing is a thing I don't want to see again after seeing it every single bloody week over the past month or so.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's nothing new, is it? It's
the
just,
arm. As soon as you're getting into arm wrestling,
it was
just too much.
A bit wet, I think we'll call it.
I completely agree. How much further do you think they'll push the Dana Brooke Charlotte partnership? Do you think that's about to run its course?
Well, they started calling Charlotte Flair for some reason. I don't know what you can read into that, because obviously that's her name, isn't it? But who knows? But I think it's one they'll come back to down the line, because at the minute Dana's very much a heel and Charlotte's very much a heel.
Very much.
We had a little teaser though, didn't we, when Dana slapped her, which I thought they would have made more of, but obviously Charlotte's better off now, isn't she? So
who wins on Sunday?
Dana and Charlotte. Gotta be Bayley, surely.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Surely. We're going to move on to our first Hell in a Cell of the 3. My opinion, the most likely first Hell in a Cell match for the United States Championship. Roman Reigns versus Rusev. Are the WWE being harsh on Rusev?
The roles are cast incorrectly in my eyes. Rusev is clearly the babyface in this rivalry.
That's so much done to him, the poor man, and not just to him, but to Lana as well.
Reigns has been a massive prick. That's the only way to describe him in this rivalry. He's turned up at the celebration of their wedding vows. He's stolen champagne. He's slut-shamed Lana on Raw. He's done all sorts to Rusev and Lana, and Rusev's taken it all in good heart. Well, not in good heart. Not, you know what I mean. He hasn't done anything underhand at Roman. He's fought. Rusev's fought through the pain barrier, broken ribs. Yep. He's fighting for his family, his lovely family. He's fighting for his country. He's fighting for all the right reasons. He's fighting for his wife. Yet he's still a heel because he's Bulgarian. That's what we're getting at here.
Do you think the last sort of year and a half has brought some prestige back to the United States Championship with Rusev's 2 runs, John Cena with the Open Challenge, hopefully Roman Reigns pushing it closer to the top of the card where it should be?
Definitely. I don't know if it's been elevated anymore by Roman, the way he hasn't been there a couple of weeks out the last few.
There's still time, I suppose.
Yeah. But who knows? One hell of a match inside Hell in a Cell could change that slightly.
Who wins it? Roman or Rusev?
My heart says Rusev, because I love the guy. But my head says Roman.
Head says Roman.
Yes.
Because the WWE like to make Roman look strong.
I don't want to say it like that, but you know. We do know it's true.
It's true.
Don't be one of those guys.
I don't think I can disagree with you. To be perfectly honest, I would love to see Rusev get the victory. I think Rusev maybe needs it a little bit more, but it's got to go to Roman, surely. Another championship match, this time for the tag team championships. The New Day versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
A match we saw on Monday.
Yes, I know. Answer me this right now, King Ross. Are they going to do it? Are they going to break the record?
Got to. There's been so many references now that even though it was the 427th day of their reign on this Monday, they said it was the 428th, just so they could work in that they were nice round 50 days shy of demolition.
They have to make it to December the 15th to break the record of 478 days, which in my estimation roughly works out about the Slammy Award time. They should pull it off, surely.
Yeah, why take it off when they come this far? Records are there to be broken, just break them. Why not?
Break the record and then have a new tag team come in my opinion.
Who?
That's just what I'm about to ask. If Cesaro and Sheamus don't take it at Hell in a Cell, do you see Cesaro and Sheamus taking it at all? Maybe after the record's been broken?
If they lose on Sunday, what reasoning do they have to stick together? They've had the championship opportunity, which they fought that best of 7 series for. Why would they stay together? They clearly don't like each other. They're only together for that shot at the gold. Mm-hmm. If the gold's not there anymore, what's the point of them?
And if they don't take it, who do you think will?
Afterwards, Gallows and Anderson maybe, if they get the win. I think it'll be decided upon that match between Enzo and Cass and Gallows.
Yeah, I think whoever wins that's probably in the prime position to get that next shot. Coming up next, we have...
Hendry makes things better. Finally, the local hero and Ross, just Ross, come face to face. Now I want you to realise I'm going to be a professional, but I've seen all the things that you've done and said, and I'm storing it, So when there's not a camera on me, or if you say something I don't like, maybe a little freak of nature through the wall there. So just watch it. Now that we're face to face, if you got anything, you want to say, didn't think you did. Anyway.
Jealousy, the guy.
What's that?
Better entrances. Better intros. Better intros, sorry. I've used the wrong word there.
Right, yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous here.
Look at the sweat. You're scared.
For those of you who can't see, the local hero has showed up. Joe, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
You joined us just in time to talk about what, in my opinion, should be the main event, but we'll...
You okay?
I'm alright.
You're right.
I've not been touched like that for many years.
Yeah.
The co-main event, but in my opinion, should be the main event. The Women's Championship match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Joe, as a professional wrestler, how big is this match for women's wrestling?
I think this is huge for women's wrestling because, to me, this was what was being built as the main event, and I really hope it is what goes on last, because I was kind of, here at WhatCulture, we're doing this greatest wrestlers list, and I was putting together my top 10 greatest wrestlers list, and I was looking through it, and I was just like, this is all guys, and I'm thinking, that is wrong. And it's one of these things that you maybe don't sit and think about enough, but it is something that's really important. And now because the thing is, the skill level in the women's division at the moment is unbelievable, and it's right up there with the guys, and it deserves to be at this time to close the show, in my opinion. And that would be a historic moment for both Charlotte and Sasha Banks and for the business. So I truly hope that is the last match.
They're the face of the pay-per-view. Their faces on the posters and on the billboards. I personally think it should be the main event. Ross, do you think it should be the last match on the card?
No arguments from me. Although I do believe the way it's been booked has been sort of like they're hinting it's a bit of a token gesture. Yeah. I'd like them to have put over the fact that the rivalry deserves to be in the match, rather than just saying, "Your ladies, you deserve to be in that match." That's just the one thing I want to change about the whole storyline.
Do you think this sets up maybe other sort of hardcore stipulations down the line? Like maybe we'll see the first ever women's ladder match coming up in the next year or so?
Don't see why not if it's a success.
Because I know we've seen hardcore matches in the past, but they haven't really utilised that to the best of the abilities.
I think it is a statement to say this is not there's not primary and secondary divisions, and you've seen that with the belts. The men's and women's titles are effectively the same title, and now remember when they did that, it was the next day there was a major sports show, and you had both the WWE champion and the WWE Women's Champion together, and there wasn't a kind of one's better than the other. It was these are two equal championships. So I think that's a statement that they're making. I think any and all match types are going to be up for grabs now.
I think that is perfect. A lot of people have asked us on Twitter, and there's been a lot of buzz going around. Charlotte and the moonsault.
Don't bloody do it.
You don't think it should be done?
There's more to life. You've got a life to live, Charlotte. Don't do it. I don't understand how it would work though. It's off the top of the cell is the rumour, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently not just the fans, but apparently Charlotte wants to do it as well.
Because the moonsaults we've seen from Charlotte so far, she lands on her feet, like off the top rope onto the floor. You couldn't do that from 16 feet in the air.
Obviously, someone hasn't played SmackDown versus Raw enough to realise that if you fall off the cell, it turns your entire body red. So, which isn't going to help you for the rest of the match. I personally don't think that she has to do it, but again, I'm not in that position, and neither are we. It's difficult to say whether someone should or shouldn't do something. It's really down to the company and the performer whether they feel that's the right thing for business. Personally, I hate to say it, but agree with this gentleman to my left in that I don't think
he's like me all along.
I don't think when I'm talking. I don't think that she should do it because it's a huge risk, and I just don't know if she needs to do it. She's a fantastic athlete, a fantastic professional wrestler, top of her game. I don't think she needs it, but the fact is people are certainly talking about it, so that's something. So you can never count it out as the WWE. You never know.
One thing you can guarantee though is the two performers the two type. I don't know them personally on a personal level, obviously, but you can tell.
Don't put your back to me. Don't be rude.
You can tell just the two driven ladies that will want to do something absolutely ridiculous to make that match memorable. I mean, and it'll be taking some efforts on the management level to stop them doing it.
We've seen Sasha with her crazy suicide dive. She may as well pile driver herself every time.
They don't get any easier to watch those, do they?
No, they definitely do not. Part of me really wants to see Charlotte do it. I think, for me, where this match goes on the card may affect whether we see it or not. I think if it's the main event, they may just pull it off. They may have Sasha on the table, Charlotte climb up, and Charlotte goes for it. And I hope she hits it if she does it. Like, not a Shane McMahon, I'm going to jump and miss. I hope if she goes for it, she hits it. On that note, predictions. Who do we think's going to win the match that, in my opinion, should be in the main event?
I think Sasha will take it.
Sasha?
Just because if Charlotte wins, it's just a bit of that pass the parcel.
Yeah, it's a bit of hot potato with the title.
Needs a good long reign now.
Local hero?
I think that Sasha will be victorious at Hell in a Cell. Again, it's her turn, you know.
Yeah.
And I hope that she does have a meaningful reign. Both, you know, fans of both of those wrestlers.
Absolutely.
And I am excited to see it. I hope I don't see a moonsault from the cell. They always, anything from the top of the cell or a cage gives me the fear tonight.
You're going to hear no arguments from me in terms of the match result. I think it's a Sasha Banks. I hope she takes the title through to WrestleMania. Myself personally.
Bayley takes it.
And Bayley takes it in WrestleMania. We shall see. And finally on the card, the main event of the evening, another Hell in a Cell match, this time for the Universal Championship. The champion Kevin Owens going against Seth Rollins. But the big elephant in the room is Chris Jericho. Not even on the card.
Despite being the centre of Raw, the go-home show, he's not even on the card.
Despite being the number one most talked about thing on Raw, there isn't a spot on the card for him.
Well, I think there's obviously a reason for that. You know, I don't think it would take a detective to realise that Chris Jericho is most likely going to be involved in this match in a big way. And personally, as a huge fan of Chris Jericho, I am hoping that this leads to his involvement with the Universal Championship, because if you think about his tenure with the company, but not only the company, with the business, a lot of people described him as kind of the last product to the territories, you know, obviously started in Canada, but Mexico, Japan, WCW, ECW,
he's done it all, hasn't
he? He has done it all, and you know what, he's still there at the absolute top of the game. And sometimes you get that when people are there because of star power, for example, but Jericho's still delivering in every single way. He's building a podcast empire. He's paving the way for a lot of wrestlers coming through. I looked to him for a lot of inspiration, and to see him get back into the title picture would be... Sorry, I kind of just hijacked that question.
That's absolutely fine.
To see Chris Jericho back in the mix for the title is what I want to see.
Ross, can we defy the odds again? Do you agree with the local hero?
Because he's pointing his finger, yes I do.
Should they put the belt on Jericho, do you reckon?
Well, not a Hell in a Cell.
Not a Hell in a Cell, obviously, but going down the line.
Yeah, looking into it, if we're looking into it like this, I think it might have gave away the result for Sunday for Kevin Owens' victory if Chris Jericho isn't going to be involved at all. Because then the storyline writes itself, because, as I said before, Kevin Owens has become a sideshow to the Chris Jericho show, because he's been on fire recently. So that storyline writes itself.
Another man who
bit like yourself and Joseph Connors, I might say.
Oh dear.
Here I am trying to be a professional, go through this. This is the first of these that I've done. Do you know that? Mm-hmm. And you have the audacity to bring that up.
Might just be the last.
Just reminded me in my head there.
To bring that. All right, you getting a bit cocky now.
I'm not getting a bit cocky.
You sure?
I'm comparing yourself to Chris Jericho.
He grows a bit of facial hair and.
Hey, it looks fantastic. This. Did you know I'm growing a beard?
You're growing a beard.
I'm going to try and grow a beard.
Getting back on topic, another man who is predicted to show up in the match is...
He gets paid, you know that.
Another man predicted to show up is Triple H. Do you think he turns up and potentially screws Rollins out of the title?
I still need to know why he went with Kevin Owens to start with. That would be nice to know.
That would be nice
2 months down the line.
There's been very much
nothing. He hasn't been back, has he?
No. Joe, do you think Triple H shows up?
Well, now that you've mentioned that, I guess that would make sense. They go off in their direction. Jericho and Owens go off in their direction, that's what I would like to see. But again, this is the great thing about this speculation. No one truly knows. That's an interesting suggestion. It would not surprise me, but I'm not sure. I would not. I usually have a definitive opinion, but with that one, I'm 50-50.
Fair enough. Official predictions. Can we all safely agree on this one?
I'm going to go KO.
KO.
Yeah. Full house. Kevin Owens to take the title to Survivor Series, and I hope he defends it. I know they're talking about the Survivor Series 5-on-5 matches, maybe the champions.
God, I've never thought about that.
But I really hope Kevin Owens defends the title, and I hope he does it against
Apparently those 5-on-5 matches are taking the place of the championship matches.
Going back to the old school.
I mean, the champions will be in those teams, so maybe Seth Rollins could win, and that storyline can wait.
We'll see what
Who
happens.
knows?
Right, we are going to move on to a couple of questions from Twitter. Thank you very much to everyone who got in touch. First question is directed to Joe Hendry at WCPW Memes. Asks, what will the biggest spot of the night be, do you reckon?
What will the biggest spot of the night be? I mean, that's just... I mean, again, this is a wonderful thing about wrestling. There's an unlimited number of possibilities for what can happen. For me, it's all about moments. So in terms of spot, in terms of the actual moves, I'm not going to sit here and predict that. But for me, to see Chris Jericho set his sights on the championship is what I would say.
It'll be the major point of the night.
The event of the night, yeah.
Fair enough.
But actually, I'm sorry. Then again, that's what I personally want to see. But for the good of the business, that maybe has to take a back seat for the women's championship match. So it's a close one.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say having the women in the main event for me would be the spot of the night. If you
That's fair enough. King Ross, this one's for you. Michael Harworth 6, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Which WCPW star would you like to see inside Hell in a Cell one day?
Joe Hendry in a handicap match against The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and Martin Kirby. So there's two of them. Give you double your money now, do.
Joe Hendry in a 3-on-1 handicap match.
How would you fare in that one, Joe?
Do you know what? I would accept it if you would add one more person to that, King Ross. And you know what would happen? The bell would go, and I would just go, there's, what was it, Lesnar, Undertaker, and Martin Kirby. They're all there, ready to kill me. And then, you know what? I would go, I've got one shot, and I would walk up to you and punch you in the face.
Why don't you do it now?
Why don't I do it now?
Yes.
No, you say that, but you're the kind of guy that he'll call the police. I got no problem doing that, but he'll call the police, I'll get sued, and then he'll get even more money.
Plus, we need Joe for shows later on down the line. So let's
exactly. We can't have me in jail for beating up people that can't defend themselves. Now, can we?
Ouch.
do you want to? You feeling like you feeling you want to go? You want to go?
Maybe.
Okay.
Let's say
it's a PG show. This we can't be seeing Claret, which I will produce by biting your bloody nose off.
Have you taken you can't just click it. Have you taken a fallaway slam before?
I've never done anything.
All right, well, let's do it now.
No.
Oh my God! Come on. Which way? Which direction?
For those of you that can't see this, Joe Hendry is quite easily getting King Ross in the following.
We're going to have to get the pixelation thing off from the arse there.
The king has begged for mercy.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm
a big old lump.
That's that's my workout for the day. But you know, big talk, but he begged for mercy there. I hope you saw that.
Joe, this one's for you. The tea stain, which is a very from an in-ring perspective.
I think after that, Ross has got a tea stain somewhere. To be honest,
is it a tea or a pea stain?
Just a massive stain.
And there goes the PG. From an in-ring perspective, in terms of talent, which match do you think has the potential to be match of the night? I feel like you're probably going to say the women's championship match.
I am. It's their opportunity to steal the show, and I hope that they do.
I may as well switch us to King Ross as well. Do you agree with the local hero?
Of course I do.
Time?
I agree. I've always agreed with Joe Hendry. Wonderful man. Great man.
You're now officially scared of him, aren't you, King?
No, just great man.
I look forward to
I'm glad we settled this. I'm glad we sorted this
out. Do you think the early Hell in a Cell matches have maybe set too high of a mark for Hell in a Cell matches today? Much like TLC, in my opinion.
I mean, it's that thing of, if we're going to see something new, what is it? This is my concern heading into the event itself. Is we're halfway through the second Hell in a Cell match, and we might have seen everything. We might be a little bit bored. I don't want to say bored, but you know what I mean.
Well, do you remember when they had Mick Foley going through the cell and through the ring? And I remember watching that as a kid. And then the later cells that I saw, it was like, for example, Triple H versus Chris Jericho. And the whole time you're watching it thinking, when's someone going to go through it?
Yeah.
Because when you do it on SmackDown versus Raw, or SmackDown 2 actually was my game of choice.
But know your role.
A man of my own
heart.
Know
your role, yes.
A man of my own
you
heart.
Should take heed from that.
We only have a couple of minutes left, guys. Let's not break into a war here.
Okay, I'm going to be professional.
Fair enough. Siobhan Wilkinson asks, all three of us, what is
Siobhan.
your...
No, I'm joking.
Just all three of us. What is your favourite Hell in a Cell spot of all time? I will start with the local hero.
I've got mine. Do you want me to say?
Okay, you go for yours then. You want to jump in?
Mine is the hologram from Bray Wyatt when Dean Ambrose was absolutely befuzzled by a computer.
Fair enough. Joe?
You know, I'm going to give an unorthodox answer because I think a lot of people would say when Mick Foley went through it, but for me, Shane is probably my favourite because if you think about it, we kind of touched on it a bit here when we talked about the moonsault, but that whole match was really sold on the fear that he was going to jump from that cell. So actually the anticipation of something that hadn't even happened built this match, that one spot, and that's pretty incredible.
It's the epitome of a one-spot match, isn't it?
And well, I'm not saying that.
In my opinion,
that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not gonna say that at all. But what I'm saying is that even just thinking about whether that was going to happen or not sold the match. In the entire match, it was kind of on the edge of your seat. And I thought that was pretty cool. So
I'm going to go with Foley going through the cell, but not the one that everyone thinks. It's the first real Hell in a Cell spot I remember, and that's him going through the ring in 2000 against Triple H. I remember seeing Foley being tossed 18 feet in the air, going through the ring, and thinking he's done for, and somehow managing to just touch me.
Fiddling that.
Sorry, careful.
Carry on.
Careful, guys. I just remember seeing Foley getting up from that somehow and still taking the pedigree. He may have lost, but that was just insane seeing Foley take that dive. And finally, just to close, your favourite Hell in a Cell match of all time? I have mine.
Content.
Go on and fill some time. If it helps. My favourite is Bad Blood 2004 between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. It's just 45 minutes of absolutely amazing wrestling. They literally throw everything into it. Takes 3 pedigrees to put Shawn Michaels down. You see some insane spots from a ladder. The fact that they leave the cameras rolling for Michaels at the end of the match is absolutely incredible, and it's one of the very few matches I can watch and just sit still and not move an inch for. Any ideas, gentlemen?
Mine might be Taker versus Triple H. The old I see now.
For two men who don't like each other, they agree on a lot of things.
A lot of comparisons here.
I'm not comfortable with that.
And on that note,
the end of an era match.
Why you're not going to ask me? Do you want me to get annoyed?
You've just said that you agree.
Well, I'll give a different answer.
Okay, then.
To give a bit of content for your podcast.
Give a different answer.
I will go for Lesnar Taker. Go for it.
1 or 2.
1.
Bloody match that was. A bloody match.
Brilliant match. And on that note, we are going to end the podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at the Joe Simkins,
at Ross on Wrestling,
at Joe S Hendry,
and we will see you soon.